So now, having established that, I'm going to ask. I'm going to start with Mama Dorothy by asking, um, you know, what is the big deal, between a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law? Why should that be? Why should it even be an issue in the first place?
Yeah, these days it is now an issue because young ladies go into marriage with a mindset to deal with a mother-in-law they have not known, they have not seen. Even some ladies who are yet to get a spouse, somebody to marry them, they already have a mindset that when I marry, because of the stories I hear about mother-in-laws, when I marry, I'm going to deal with my mother-in-law. So with this kind of mindset, no matter how the mother-in-law tries to be good, it can never be appreciated. And no matter how the bad mother-in-laws also try to change or accommodate, it can never be accepted because of that mindset. And again, it is worse today with what social media is doing, particularly my Nigerian feminists who do not seem to understand what feminism is. Feminism is looking for rights of women. I mean, like a woman who is being abused, or a woman who is being underpaid, or a woman who is not allowed, like those days, to be a doctor. Some good feminist women took the courage to start the to study law, engineering, medicine, all those professions that women were not allowed to do before. That is what feminists achieved. But my own version of Nigerian feminists, maybe not all of them, many of them are on social media, Facebook in particular, urging young ladies to go into marriage with a mindset of war. A marriage is not a war zone. It is a place of love. But because some of them had failed marriages, they now use the standard of what happened in their home, in their own marriage, to judge every man and to prepare young ladies to be battle ready. Do you see them making posts like recently, a lady said she wanted to travel and she bought her tickets already, but her husband disapproved of the trip and she didn't go. She decided to abort the mission. Feminist ladies on social media, Nigerians, went on Facebook to lambast her. She's so stupid. Why did she allow her husband to stop her from traveling? And I said, how can you, a good woman from a good home, embark on a trip without your husband's approval? They use the word permission. I do not need a man's permission. I do not need his permission. So if you are married and you think you don't need your husband's permission, you don't need to get married. Live alone so you can gallivant. You can go anywhere you want to go. It is not by force. The mindset of marrying into a family to frustrate the man and frustrate his family and his mother. What kind of story is that? There are some bad mother-in-laws, I agree. If you counter a bad mother-in-law, like those days, a mother will leave east, out from Nigeria, will leave Igbo land and come to Lagos to her son's house. The moment she sits in the parlor and hears her daughter-in-law frying ordinary onion in the kitchen, you know how onion smells. Once she put the onion and the onion make chai, the woman will carry her hand on head. Hey, my son money don't finish. Oh, this wife is going to use all the money to fry, and finish my son's money. Even back then, when this mother do such a thing, those wives those days, because they were way brought up, would never hate that mother-in-law for that. Rather, she would say, mama, your son's money no go finish. I am here to support your son. Don't worry. We go build house for you now. Don't worry, we'll take care of you. She will reassure the woman. But today's woman, if a mother-in-law tries that, she'll be out of that house. I will never come to that house again. So entering a marriage with a mindset is the problem. And then social media teachings, wrong teachings, is another problem. Those are the main two things. Of course, we have some bad mother-in-laws too. But if you can't access a mother-in-law, all you need to do is take counsel. How do I go about it? There are things, if a mother-in-law is talking about, so let your husband, talk to your husband. Don't confront her. Don't face her. What I don't understand is that these ladies, their own mother, talk to them rudely sometimes. Their own mother get on their nerves, but they will never put their mother away. But once a mother-in-law tries it, there's a war. Your mother-in-law has a part in your life. Your husband came through a mother. You came through a mother. So two mothers, they have a part in your life to play. If now that you accuse them as being witches, if they have closed that compound and that you married to, you won't have a husband. So therefore
Okay,
have a spiritual
thank
part
you.
in your life.
Yeah, let me come back to you, man.
Sorry.
Thank you, ma. I have a question here, and you also talk about it in your intro here, and the issue is there seems to be a prepared biased mind, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe let me know. I'm trying not to say it about to the daughter-in-law or the mother-in-law. Maybe on the side of both the mother and the daughter-in-law, as a premeditated biased mind, pre-marriage. You know, Let me ask the village boy: do you agree that there is this premeditated biased mind that both women comes into in the relationship with? And if you can espouse on why, if you agree.
Well, thank you very much. There are two sides to a coin, which is a common saying of me, if you recognize, if you recall. Yes, there are, from the things that are happening now, I think there is some level of premeditation we can see happening. Prior to this time, there have also been some kind of what you may call oppressive and probably ignorant mother-in-laws that cause that raise unnecessary alarm. Let me share a story, but the story is in Ekiti. Kind of, I will speak Ekiti dialect somewhere along the line. Please pardon me. So there was this you know woman who came to do Amugo. Amugo is now accepted. I mean, it's adopted by all Nigerians, though it is an Igbo word. So so we have it has become a national word now. So kind of. So she came to do Amugo. So the it was in the 80s. So they went to market. The woman went to market. They bought, this okwiko, palma and everything. So, and the mother-in-law was looking at it, and when they suffer each of those uh, type of meat, and the woman started sobbing when the son came, and the son was asking, "Mommy, what happened?" He said, that there are too many, that the meat allow the meat in the soup were too many that he cannot there was nowhere to get the soup, to pick the soup. And the son asked him, "What, how do you mean?" He said, "Upon all the big pot of soup that your wife cooked, she gave me only 3 pieces of meat." The son laughed, said, "No, no, no, no. That, see, this is not like the village. In the village when we go to the farm, we catch a meat, I mean grass water and everything. We cook it and it is shared to everybody that day. It is consumed that day." So the son had to explain and no, that this pot of soup that you see my wife cooking at least will last for 3 or 4 days. So that is why she try as much as possible to make sure she serve you one of those varieties in the soup. So thank God the man was able to bridge that gap. So for both the wife to defend the wife and to educate the mother, especially when there is a gap in social gap. With due respect to our mothers in the villages in those days, many of them were never that they didn't go to school, but they spent all their fortunes to send us to school. So there are things that we have seen as a kind of, because of the peculiarity of living in urban area. So there are kind of things, behavior that are different from the behaviors in the interland. So it is imperative. It is imperative for the man to come in to stand in the gap between the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law to make sure that there is a breach of that social disconnect. So that's the example that I use. But if you look at what has been happening in the last 20 years or thereabout, I will blame it on two things. the Nollywood, sorry, Madam Dorothy, has not helped matter. They have, for me, when you go see Ezono, you look at Mama G,
Mama G,
these
Mama
are
G.
the example of bad mother-in-law, and that's what made them popular. People love to watch them doing that catacurious mother-in-law. So that kind of people make these young people, they say, no, I'd rather marry a man whose mother is dead. So, and the other aspect also, when you talk of in terms of even this Omugo we are saying, I have known, and I've also said that the wife's mother is more useful when a woman put to bed. So, and that also make a woman to prefer her own mother to come and take care of her during that period. If there's a mother-in-law, it's like it's supposed to be an asset, but it could also become a liability, especially if the mother-in-law is a bit of age that she needs care. So, like the new mother, especially with the first delivery, is struggling to get back to normal, is struggling to take care of the child, and is also struggling to take care of the mother-in-law sometimes, because who also have the preconceived idea that, okay, I am in my son's house, so I'm not supposed to be doing anything, I'm supposed to be served. But we have seen some well-informed, generous, kind mother-in-law who will come and will play the role of the wife's mother, who will take the wife as his daughter. That word daughter-in-law means like this is a daughter you are adopting. You are taking this woman as your own daughter. There are mother-in-laws who will do the same thing the wife's mother would do for the wife. So there are those instances. So I think the kind of impression we got on Nollywood makes some women to vow. Some people vow. I've had people pray it that I don't want to marry a man whose mother is still alive. So that preconception has become prevalent in recent times. It wasn't that bad before. There are those who prepare for their mother laws. Okay, if you do me shege, I will do you shege. So there are also that aspect. Then the feminism is also not helping matter. The feminism in Nigeria, as Madam Dorothy said, they are not realistic most of the time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. I want to ask Yetunde, because she seemed like a younger woman whom I believe is, has experience with, more new generation women in Nigeria. So I want you to share with us personal, experiences that you have seen, maybe in young women. Why is it that is it true? Because some of us are assuming that women come with a premeditated, bias against the mother-in-law. Mother-in-law generally, maybe it is people like Mama G who are just acting film, or Midoroti who are just acting film, and then do you think it is why? Because somehow I think we cannot deny that it is popular. A lot of people, even though it might not be right to generalize it, but it's fairly popular. What's your opinion? Have you seen women, young women, being scared of mother-in-laws?
I have. And that Mama G's role didn't come out of nowhere. It came out of something that was true. So let's not behave as if they just suddenly did one movie and then everybody just carried it.
So we
The
can't blame
truth
them.
is, I think we can't blame them at all. I
Okay.
think when
Thank you.
a person has their child, I think you feel like nobody is good enough for your son. I bet if the person is good enough, it has to be somebody very, very unusual. So by the time you have somebody, your son marries somebody, when you guys get into, you get to know them. From my experience, I think what your mother would tell you that you would take very simply or very easily, because you people didn't grow up together, the way your mother-in-law would tell you, sometimes you take it very personally. It sounds like very harsh criticism. And so sometimes the way the woman might take it might turn to something else. It might actually turn into a war. But from what people have said, I have a very lovely mother-in-law. We didn't always agree. I'm very strong-willed, so there were times that we stood chest to chest, of course, because she's very strong-willed as well. But at the end of the day, and I have to be honest, when we were standing chest to chest, there was very little her son could do. To be honest with you, he just had to go to work, or pretend to go to work, or pretend to go and buy something, so that so that there was we could sort ourselves out. Because he himself, he was in the middle, he didn't know what to do. He'll be telling mommy, yesterday, mommy, in fact, I need to go and buy fuel. I'm coming. And he'll just go. And then by the time he comes back, the both of us are good. And then over time, we settle it. So I think, of course, the preconception. Sir?
Continue, please.
Okay.
Continue.
I think the preconception is a thing, because it's not just about the movies. Even in I've heard a lot of stories where mother-in-laws were really, really terrible. They actually came into the house, and because they wanted to be the one to call the shots, because after all, he's my son. You just came yesterday. So they want to call the shots in the house. And the woman is like, this is my house, you know. And so there comes to be that loggerheads and stuff. I've heard very horrible stories about very, very horrible mothers-in-law. I've heard wonderful stories about wonderful mothers-in-law. And about that thing that Village Boy said about the Omugwo, I think sometimes when you are at your most vulnerable, you don't really want somebody that you feel is critical of you and of the things you are doing in your vicinity. And so you are more liable to rely on your mom, who you trust more and who you know understands you more. Imagine when you just have a baby and you're trying to do one or two things, and your mother-in-law will come and say, are you still sleeping? What is this nonsense? You had a baby, you did not have accident. Oh, yeah, stand up, you know, and stuff like that. So so they are thinking all these kind of things. So they are wondering. So I think that's where it all comes from. It's actually the truth. It's not just a myth. But there are good people and there are some kind of people. But I think it's just a personality thing all around.
Thank you, Yeti. Thank you very much. I love the example context. I mean, context.